In a quiet suburban neighborhood, families filled the streets with laughter and the sounds of children playing. Among them was the Johnson family, known for their friendly smiles and welcoming spirit. They had recently installed a shiny new basketball hoop in their driveway, eager to create a space for fun and friendly competition. Their children loved shooting hoops with their friends, turning the driveway into a lively gathering spot. However, not everyone was thrilled about the new addition. Karen, a neighbor notorious for her critical eye and strict adherence to community rules, felt compelled to voice her concerns. She worried that the basketball hoop could cause property damage or create noise disturbances. With her phone in hand, she called the Homeowners Association, HOA, insisting that something needed to be done. As word spread about Karen's complaint, it sparked mixed feelings among the other residents. Some shared her worries, while others felt she was being overly dramatic. Little did she know, her own grandson would soon visit, bringing a twist to the unfolding story and putting her complaints to the test as he discovered the joy of playing basketball with the neighborhood kids. The day the Johnson family installed their new basketball hoop was a celebration in itself. The children, bursting with excitement, could hardly contain their joy as they raced outside, basketballs in hand. Their driveway transformed into a hub of activity, the sound of bouncing balls and laughter filled the air. Friends from the neighborhood flocked over, eager to join in on the fun. "Watch me," shouted their oldest child, as he dribbled and took a shot, sending the ball soaring through the hoop. Cheers erupted from his younger siblings and their friends, creating an infectious atmosphere of enthusiasm. Parents watched from nearby yards, some smiling at the sight of innocent competition while quietly wondering if Karen would record any of it for her next complaint. As kids played games and practiced their shots, it became clear that this basketball hoop was more than just a piece of equipment, it had become a focal point for community bonding. Neighbors began to engage with one another again, recalling memories of their own childhood games. The enchanting charm of friendly play began spreading through the neighborhood, until Karen's concerns threatened to disrupt this newfound joy, setting up an unexpected clash between fun and rules. As the sounds of laughter filled the Johnsons' driveway, Karen felt increasingly uneasy. The joyful scene of children playing basketball stirred something inside her, and her worries began to escalate. She envisioned the worst-case scenarios: stray basketballs damaging property, noise disrupting the neighborhood's peace, and a decline in community standards. Unable to ignore her concerns any longer, she decided to take action. The following day, Karen dialed the Homeowners Association, HOA. With a firm tone, she expressed her worries about the new basketball hoop. "It poses a real risk of property damage," she insisted, detailing how an errant shot could hit parked cars or invade neighboring yards. She also mentioned the potential for noise complaints from families who valued their quiet afternoons. In her mind, she was defending the community's values. Soon after, the HOA convened to discuss the matter and decided to issue a warning to the Johnson family. This formal notice cast a shadow over the cheerful atmosphere that had blossomed around the basketball hoop, creating uncertainty as neighbors whispered about what would happen next. Little did Karen know that her actions would soon lead to unexpected developments that would challenge her perspective on fun and community spirit. The Homeowners Association meeting was tense as Karen's complaints about the Johnson family's basketball hoop were discussed. Board members gathered around a long table, flipping through the community guidelines and listening to her concerns. Karen passionately argued that the hoop posed a danger to property and tranquility, detailing how a stray ball could cause damage to parked cars or nearby homes. She painted a picture of chaos, where children's laughter turned into noise complaints echoing through the neighborhood. After much deliberation, the board made their decision. They agreed to issue a formal warning to the Johnson family, believing it was necessary to uphold community standards. The announcement felt heavy in the air, especially considering how vibrant the neighborhood had become with children playing together. Once the decision was made, letters were drafted and sent out, creating ripples of uncertainty among residents. While some supported Karen's stance, others were concerned about how this warning might ruin the joyful vibe that had recently blossomed. As neighbors began to discuss the HOA's actions, the Johnson family remained unaware of the brewing storm, focusing on their children's laughter from the driveway, not knowing their fun was now under scrutiny. The following weekend, as the sun rose over the neighborhood, the Johnson family's excitement continued to thrive. However, unbeknownst to them, Karen's worries were about to intersect with her personal life. Her grandson, Ethan, arrived for a visit, beaming with energy and anticipation for a weekend of fun. Unlike his grandmother, who viewed the basketball hoop with suspicion, Ethan was captivated by the idea of shooting hoops with his friends. Upon seeing the hoop set up in the Johnsons' driveway, Ethan rushed over, eyes wide with enthusiasm. "Can I play there?" he asked Karen, who hesitated but finally nodded. Watching her grandson sparkle with joy felt bittersweet. On one hand, she relished his innocence and happiness, on the other hand, her mind raced with concerns about noise and chaos. Ethan ran into the yard where kids were already gathering to welcome him. He tossed a ball eagerly into the air and shouted, "Let's play," as he dribbled toward the hoop. His laughter echoed through the street like music, creating a stark contrast to Karen's worries. For Karen, seeing her grandson play joyfully reminded her of memories long past, moments when childhood fun didn't come wrapped in fears of rules or damage. As Ethan bounded into the Johnsons' driveway, he was quickly joined by other neighborhood kids eager to play basketball. The Johnson family, witnessing the sheer joy on Ethan's face and the excitement of his friends, decided to embrace the moment and allow everyone to shoot hoops together. It was a perfect opportunity to strengthen community ties, even amidst the recent tension sparked by Karen's complaints. With each basket made, laughter echoed through the street, creating a positive atmosphere that contrasted sharply with Karen's earlier concerns. The Johnsons encouraged friendly competition among the children, who cheered each other on and celebrated every successful shot. Neighbors began to gather around, some leaning casually against their fences while others found spots on their lawns to watch the game unfold. Karen stood across the street, feeling a mix of emotions as she observed her grandson playing. Despite her worries, it was hard not to smile at the sight of so many happy faces enjoying themselves together. The spirit of community shone brightly that day, reminding everyone that fun and friendship could coexist with rules and responsibilities. As the sun began to set, it became clear that this gathering had brought neighbors closer together in ways that Karen had never anticipated. As the game unfolded, the driveway sparkled with life, filled with the sounds of bouncing basketballs and cheerful shouts. Kids dashed back and forth, their faces lit up with excitement as they cheered for one another. "Nice shot," yelled a little girl when Ethan made a basket, her enthusiasm infectious. They formed teams and strategized playfully, embodying the very spirit of teamwork and friendship. The sun cast a warm glow over the scene, illuminating the joyful expressions of the children. They laughed and celebrated each small victory, whether it was a free throw or a well-timed assist. The camaraderie created an atmosphere that felt like magic, where worries faded away and only joy remained. In stark contrast, Karen stood across the street with her arms crossed, her expression stern and conflicted. While she had once envisioned chaos and damage from the hoop, watching the sheer happiness radiating from the kids softened her resolve. Each laugh echoed in her ears, reminding her of her own childhood games filled with fun and freedom. For a brief moment, she allowed herself to contemplate how different life could be if everyone focused on joy rather than rules. As she observed this vibrant scene, a flicker of warmth began to challenge her critical nature. As the game continued, Karen found herself standing across the street, arms crossed and eyebrows furrowed, trying to maintain her disapproving stance. Yet, her grandson Ethan was in the thick of the action, laughing as he dribbled the basketball and cheered with his friends. Each time he made a shot, a chorus of delighted yelps erupted from the group, and Karen couldn't help but crack a reluctant smile. In one particularly humorous moment, Karen watched as Ethan attempted an elaborate layup only to trip over his own feet and land softly on the grass. The kids burst into laughter, including Ethan himself, who quickly jumped up and brushed off his shirt with a grin. The sight was both endearing and absurd. Karen struggled between wanting to intervene and the realization that kids are meant to be carefree. The contrast between her strict demeanor and the carefree joy of childhood could not have been more pronounced. Although she had always believed in rules, watching her grandson delight in these simple moments stirred something within her. For a second, she let go of her worries and joined in the laughter. Perhaps there was room for fun alongside her rules after all. After the joyful afternoon of basketball, the Johnson family gathered in their living room, still buzzing from the excitement of the day. As they recounted stories of Ethan's hilarious layup failure and the laughter that followed, Mrs. Johnson had a sudden realization. "Wait a minute. We have security cameras," she exclaimed, brightening up the room with her enthusiasm. Eager to relive the fun, they hurried to their computer to check the footage from the cameras installed around their home. What they found was a treasure trove of memories, kids running back and forth, cheering each other on, and high-fiving after each successful shot. The footage captured not only Ethan's playful spirit but also the camaraderie that had blossomed among all the neighborhood children. The family exchanged delighted glances as they watched Karen standing across the street with her arms crossed, her stern expression contrasting with the joy unfolding before her. They couldn't help but chuckle at how unaware she was of just how much fun was being had right under her nose. This footage became more than just a record, it was proof of community spirit and happiness that had sprouted despite Karen's earlier complaints. It was clear they needed to share this joy with the HOA, hoping it would change everything. With the decision made to share the security footage with the Homeowners Association, the Johnson family felt a renewed sense of hope. They gathered around the computer, excitedly picking out the best clips that showcased not just Ethan's playful spirit but also the joyful interactions among all the neighborhood kids. They wanted to present it as evidence of how the basketball hoop had fostered community bonding rather than serving as a source of concern. On the day of the HOA meeting, the family arrived early, clutching a USB drive filled with clips of laughter, cheers, and teamwork. The atmosphere was noticeably different from the last meeting. Instead of apprehension, they were filled with optimism. When it was their turn to speak, Mr. Johnson confidently introduced the footage. As they played the clips, smiles spread across the faces of board members and other residents in attendance. The joyful scene unfolded on the screen, kids high-fiving after making baskets, cheering each other on, and even Karen's grandson Ethan laughing as he stumbled during a shot. It became clear that the basketball hoop had brought happiness and community spirit. The Johnsons hoped this would lead to a shift in perspective within the HOA, transforming concerns about property damage into appreciation for the unity and joy evident in their neighborhood. As the footage played on the screen, the mood in the Homeowners Association meeting transformed dramatically. Board members leaned forward, captivated by the scenes of laughter, teamwork, and joy radiating from the basketball hoop in the Johnsons' driveway. The images of the children cheering each other on and having fun painted a picture that contrasted sharply with Karen's earlier claims about property damage and noise. Once the clips concluded, a silence enveloped the room, followed by an earnest discussion among board members. Several expressed their surprise at how the hoop had fostered such a vibrant sense of community. "This is what our neighborhood should be about," one member remarked, pointing out that they had overlooked the positive impact in their previous assessment. Recognizing that their warning might have stifled something valuable, they began to reconsider their stance. Questions arose about how they could better support community interactions while still addressing valid concerns. Karen, who had been initially skeptical, now found herself reflecting on the true spirit of connection she had witnessed through her grandson. In that moment, it became evident that the basketball hoop was not just a source of conflict but a bridge bringing neighbors together in laughter and friendship. The HOA's renewed perspective led them to unanimously agree to rescind their warning against the Johnson family. In the end, the story of the Johnson family's basketball hoop serves as a powerful reminder of how sports can unite neighbors and foster connections within a community. What began as a source of tension transformed into a bridge that brought families together, showcasing the importance of communication and understanding. By sharing joyful experiences, the Johnsons were able to shift perceptions and create an environment where fun and friendship flourished. As Karen watched her grandson thrive in the camaraderie built around the hoop, she encountered the realization that her concerns had clouded her judgment. It became clear that the laughter of children playing together was more significant than her fears about noise and property damage. This unfolding narrative highlighted how misunderstandings can be resolved through open dialogue and shared experiences. For the community, this incident became a catalyst for growth, promoting a culture where everyone could share joys rather than focus on grievances. Moving forward, the neighborhood embraced the spirit of connection, understanding that a simple basketball hoop could not only provide entertainment but also lay the groundwork for lasting relationships. In celebrating their shared love for play, they reinforced the idea that togetherness is the real heartbeat of any community.